This is going to be a reading of Module 5, Lesson 1, Geography in Early India, which starts on page 144. If you were there, your people are nomadic herders in southern Asia in about 1200 BC. You live in a river valley with plenty of water and grass for your cattle. Besides looking after cattle, you spend time learning songs and myths from the village elders. They say these words hold your people's history. One day, it'll be your duty to teach them to your children. Why is it important to pass on these words? Geography of India. Look at a map of Asia. Do you see the large, roughly triangular landmass that juts out from the center of the southern part of the continent? That is India. It was the location of one of the world's earliest civilizations. Landforms and rivers. India is huge. In fact, it is so big that many geographers call it a subcontinent. A subcontinent is a large landmass that is smaller than a continent. Subcontinents are usually separated from the rest of the continent by physical features. If you look at the physical map of India, for example, you can see that the mountains largely separate the Indian subcontinent from the rest of Asia. Among the mountains of northern India are the Himalayas, the highest mountains in the world. To the west are the Hindu Kush. Although these mountains make it hard to enter India, invaders have historically found a few paths through them. To the west of the Himalayas is a vast desert. Much of the rest of India is covered by fertile plains and rugged plateaus. Several major rivers flow out of the Himalayas. The valley of one of them, the Indus, was the location of some ancient India's earliest settlements. The Indus River is located in present-day Pakistan, west of Asia, or India. When heavy snows in the Himalayas melted, the Indus flooded. As in Mesopotamia and Egypt, the flooding left behind a layer of fertile silt. The silt created ideal farmland for early settlers. The Ganges River is located in the plains of northern Indian subcontinent. The river is relatively short, but it flows through one of the most fertile and populated regions in the world. Water from the river has been used for irrigation since ancient times. Once widely used for transportation, the Ganges is still an important trade route in some areas. Today, it is also an important source of hydroelectric power. Climate. Most of India has a hot and humid climate. The climate is heavily influenced by India's monsoons, seasonal wind patterns that cause wet and dry seasons. In the summer, monsoon winds blow into India from the Indian Ocean, bringing heavy rains that can cause terrible floods. Some parts of India receive as much as 100 or even 200 inches of rain during this time. In the winter, winds blow down from the mountains. This forces the moisture out of India and creates warm, dry winters. Harappan civilization. Historians call India's first civilization the Harappan civilization. It is the first urban culture on the subcontinent. Hundreds of Harappan settlements have been found in northwestern India and eastern Pakistan. Most of these settlements lay along the Indus River and along the ancient course of the Sarasvati River in the desert of northwest India. Once a major river, the Sarasvati has long since disappeared. Like other ancient societies, the Harappan civilization grew as irrigation and agriculture improved. Harappan farmers learned to control annual river floods in a way similar to the Mesopotamian model of irrigation. This allowed them to develop a farming economy. As farmers began to produce surpluses of food, towns and cities appeared in India. With organized agriculture came organized government and the division of labor. Historians disagree on whether slavery existed in the Harappan civilization. Some historians believe buildings have been found that were slave dwellings. Others believe these buildings actually were motels for travelers. In contrast to other river valley civilizations, we know little about the Harappan religious beliefs. Some artifacts give clues. Seals, or stamped images, show pictures of humans and animals. Many seem to be religious, but the specific beliefs are unclear. India's first cities. The Harappa civilization was named after the modern city of Harappa, Pakistan. It was near this city that the ruins of the civilization were first discovered. From studying these ruins, archaeologists think that the civilization thrived between 2600 BC and 1700 BC. Among the greatest sources of information we have about the Harappan civilization are the ruins of three large cities: Harappa, Mohenjo-Daro, and Calibangan. Harappa and Mohenjo-Daro were situated on the Indus River more than 300 miles apart, while Calibangan was even further away than Sarasvati. However, the cities were remarkably similar. All three cities were well planned. Each stood near a towering fortress. From these fortresses, defenders could look down on the city's brick streets, which crossed at right angles and were lined with storehouses, workshops, market stalls, and houses. In addition, both cities had many public wells. Most of the structures were built of mud brick. Following floods, the mud deposited by the river could shape into the bricks. Later, clay and water were mixed and placed into wooden molds. The bricks then dried in the sun or fired in the kiln. Harappan achievements. The Harappan civilization was very advanced. Most houses had bathrooms with indoor plumbing. Artisans made excellent pottery, jewelry, ivory objects, and cotton clothing from readily available resources. Cotton crops were grown in the region. Seals were often carved from soapstone, which could be found in the area. They used high-quality tools, which they also traded, and developed a system of weights and measures. The Harappans also developed India's first writing system. However, scholars have not yet learned to read the language, so we know very little about the Harappan society. We do know, however, that they traded with other regions such as Mesopotamia. Harappan seals have been found in Mesopotamian cities. The Persian Gulf was a likely sea trade route from the Harappans. Although other river valley civilizations felt invaders, no one is sure why Harappan civilization ended by the early 1700s BC. Perhaps invaders destroyed the cities, or perhaps natural disasters like floods, droughts, or earthquakes caused the civilization to collapse. Summary and preview. The Harappans built an ancient civilization in the Indus Valley. In the next lesson, you will learn about a new civilization that developed in the Indus Valley, the Aryans.